What support do you need? What guidance do you need? Let's set a new goal. Do you have everything you need to succeed? So let's just break this down into really small, bite-sized, achievable goals, and then let's put a plan in place. Let's get focused on your schedule first, and then we'll focus on each other piece.
Am I biting off too much that I can chew? That's the real question.
So the short answer is like you can achieve anything that you focus on, but you need to make sure that what you focus on drives the most result.
Money kind of solves all my issues, right? In these situations,
sort of, right?
Sort of. I know
Sort
what I don't mean that in a jerk.
Yeah,
way.
no, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. So like the reason why I want to talk about your schedule first is because when you're trying to achieve all these different things, right? Like you personally can only do so much. As an example, your recruiter, I'm not talking ill about this person, but I'm saying like, to put on the idea of like, hey, you have to bring in net 80 agents, right? You're starting with 20 as an example, and you're trying to get to 100. You have to grow by net 80 in the next 12 months, means that he has to bring on net 7 or so agents every single month for the next 12 months, which is not actually super simple.
Well, we're all going to help, right?
No, of course.
On him, yeah.
Of course. I'm just, as an example, I'm just saying like to net, it's a lot, right? Like in one position, right, is a lot. And obviously I know you're all going to work towards it, and you can come up with collaborative goals. But as an example, that one individual, I don't know how much previous recruiting experience they have, because even like huge offices that have, several hundred agents don't have a net 6, right? I mean, some of them are doing net 2.
That's
net
the thing,
4.
right?
Anyways, all I'm trying to say is like, obviously, like we're going to want to take a moment here and get really clear on like what is the biggest drivers that actually affect not only your bottom line, because obviously you making a lot of money is really important too, but also like what helps you achieve the quote overarching goal the quickest. Because it's like if you're looking to make quote $1 million, right? As an we'll dive into this, but if you're looking to make $1 million, do I think that recruiting 100 agents is going to help you get there the fastest? Maybe. I don't know. We could break things down and say like, hey, like if your personal production is bringing you $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 net a year, taking that from 200 to 400 grand wherever you are now to 800 grand is probably a lot easier to go from $5,000 to $70,000 a month on the recruiting piece.
That I think that some things that bother me are my team right now. It feels like it's falling apart in the sense of like we were so much busier this year. We're going to do just as much as last year or maybe a little bit more, which is great, but it doesn't feel like that going into 2024. Part of that reason is a lot of the lead sources have run dry. I've gotten rid of a lot of them because as far as expense goes, I want to cut some expense. And I feel like I'm missing something with the team now. Like they're not hunting or they're not going after things the right way. And I'm the only one bringing business to the table, which is a little bit stressful because if I'm doing that and then I'm going to do the office and then I'm going to do the commercial, I got a lot on my plate and I want to be able to do everything, but I need to also fix that. But I also need to focus on money making tasks or that move the needle in a big way, and which is probably the commercial stuff. But I also cannot fail at the office. I'm not going to fail, but I have to give that a lot of dedication because I have a partner and he's expecting things to make.
So let's talk about it like this, right? When it comes to team building, because you have the office, you have your own personal production, you have the team in itself, right? Like these, so that's 3 different pieces. And that's, your personal production can also encompass residential and commercial sales. These are 3 main pieces,
production,
right? Yeah, right. So office, your own personal production, and your team. Does that sound about right? 3 different pieces?
Yes.
If we're going to focus on each of these 3 things, there needs to be specific activities that are going to be done each and every single day or every week per se, right? You could spend like 1 day a week specific on one thing. Like we'll talk about this more in depth, but there's going to be specific actions that need to be taken repeatedly for the next 12, 24, 36 months to have everything continuously growing. Where would you want to start with this? Because it sounds like to me, like personally, I think that you should probably focus on your personal production because that's where a large percentage of your personal income is, right?
I don't want to lose that either. That's the thing. That's what I'm worried about because I'm not going to make money in the first year in the office, right? It's going to be a loss. I need to still sustain, my lifestyle balance. Plus on top of that, deal with the office stuff.
So let's talk about it, right? So I would look at it like this. You need to be able to block off 4 to 5 or 6 hours a day, every day, for personal production. That means 3-ish hours in the morning of prospecting.
Well, when's the best time to prospect? Let's start breaking some of this
So
stuff.
we're gonna organize everything, right?
Okay.
So I'm just saying, like, again, we're probably talking somewhere between 8 and 11 or 9 and 12 in the morning, just specifically prospecting, and then probably having like one appointment slot later in the day where you can go conduct that appointment if you need to.
I don't know how to master it. That's the problem. I'll be doing something and then somebody asks me this. I'm like, how do I get back to all these people? Like, that's the part. And then look up properties for them and then chase the people. Like, I'm like, am I doing wrong? So you have to show me.
So every minute is so purposeful when you're trying to do all this. And obviously, I want you to hear this loud and clear, because this was a mistake I made. You can personally get to $1 million net a year in any one of these things. And it's not overly complicated to get there, but to get to a very successful rate, like on a monthly rate of revenue or net income on all three of these things, will be very complicated. It's saying, like, I'm going to primarily focus on X first, get this to a very good place, slowly delegate pieces of it so that I can keep it at a sustainable rate to then focus on piece 2, right? Because you can't do all three things great. You could do one
I think
great.
The most important thing is the sales, because if people see that I'm doing all these sales, they might say, I want to work for this guy. And then that also makes me money, which makes me happy and keeps me going and fuels everything else. And all of that would come together.
I would agree with you, right? If I could focus on any one of these things, it would probably be, your personal production. Let's get you to $1 million a year in personal production. Now, don't get me wrong. The cool part also, like you had mentioned, like, it will affect the other two things. And also, you're going to have to build a team anyways, but your team will, quote, look different. I want you to hear that, right? It will look very different, because I'll give you an example. There are teams that have a lot of bodies to make up a lot of production, but it's very low income per person. And then you have other teams that are like, it's going to be the Samir team, because this is what it should look like. Like, if you want to make a lot of money with your team, it's the Samir team and then ancillary support, which we'll talk about. So just know that like I've seen a lot of teams, and I'm sure you have a lot of friends, and like there's a lot of teams out there, but like you could have 20 agents on a team and doing $2 million a year, and everybody makes 20 grand. You don't want that. Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like,
especially now I'm going to have the office, so I don't care about that.
100%.
Tight niche.
The vision here is, let's get your production to $1 million plus.
I want the Miami numbers where you got guys, 5 people to a team doing almost $1 billion a year. Like
that's what I'm saying, right? Like, so
I'm like, how the hell did they do that? Like, that's crazy.
Well, let's focus on a game plan here. So what you're going to do is that we're going to come up with a model of ignore the other two things for a moment, ignore the team growth piece and ignore the office growth piece, because we're going to handle that. We're going to focus just on your own production. So that means let's get really dialed in every day from 9 a.m. to 12 noon minimum, right? You can do 8 o'clock and you can go till 1 o'clock, but you're going to be focusing on your own prospecting.
Prospecting. Okay.
This is all lead generation activities. I don't care if you're whatever you're a successful guy, right? So like, you could either be cold calling here, you can be calling your past clients, your current clients, you can be calling your sphere of influence. Whatever has worked for you in the past, I want you to double down on it, right? Are you a big referral guy, or are you a big cold caller?
Clients and stuff. Honestly, like, lose my mind to think a lot of business, like calling leads, people coming in, all that bullshit. But I want to get away from that in a way, which is a little scary to just jump to commercial, because like, not get away from it. Like, obviously I'll do deals.
Ignore commercial for a second. We're going to get into it, but I'm saying, like, what have you done to date that generates your most business?
Just call, answer, talk to people, see people, meet people.
Right. So like, the only thing you're going to be is you're going to be locked in your office right now for every day from like 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning. You choose, right? The earlier, the better, but whatever you can start prospecting for a minimum 3 hours. Now, one of those days you can spend that time calling commercial, because you're going to slowly integrate it into your business. You're not going to just cold turkey resi and go straight to commercial. You're going to maybe do 1 day a week. You say Thursdays or Tuesdays or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, but 1 day a week for those 3 hours, you can be prospecting commercial. Okay.
Can I do twice a week?
Yeah, I would. Well, here's the thing. If residential 100% has been the business that you've been closing, I'd probably start with a day a week until your resi business is at a point where you have such a pipeline in place, because commercial takes a lot longer to close.
But then the problem is if I keep bringing more business in residential, this is the part where I mess up. I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel. I'm going back, because
you're going to slowly, right? What happens is that once I understand what you're saying. So what you're going to do is you're going to slowly transition over the next 12 months. This is not a tomorrow transition. If our overarching goal is to make $1 million.
Yeah, there's just things I'm doing that's wrong. I know, like, I'm doing too much and I don't know how to.
Well, let's focus. Let's get really focused, right? With your prospecting, number one, stop prospecting anything under $600,000. Like, what's your average sales price right now?
$625,000.
Right. So 625. Now your goal here is that when you're prospecting, you should actually be closer to 8 or 900 minimum. So that means
Okay.
like any area that you're prospecting, you should be prospecting in the next layer up. The reason being is that I'd say 8, 900 minimum, right? I try to get to around 50% higher net because this way, like you can do the same amount of business or less business and still make the same, if not more money.
I'll just do 800 and then go from there, right?
Yeah. Just so what I'm trying to say is be cognizant of your price point in the neighborhoods you're prospecting. If you're doing circle prospecting or pulling lead
I
lists.
don't do any of that. That's the thing. I don't even know how to do.
So like where are you pulling most of your leads from? This is why I was asking you, saying you were making a lot of calls. What are you calling?
Referrals, lead sources,
What's the lead sources?
like Google LSA, other lead sources that I have right now.
Because what happens is that when you think about it like this, when you're calling and getting like when you're getting referrals and when you're getting, paid advertisement leads, you don't have the control over your price point. You just get something and you sell it.
I'm being reactive. I need to learn to be proactive during this
Right.
prospecting time that I don't know how to do.
Let's brainstorm a little bit. Right. If you had to be proactive and be prospecting for the leads that you're actually looking to sell, what could you do?
If I had to be proactive, I would have to, I don't know, use Redex or call and
Great. And call what? Let's come up with ideas together.
I guess expireds could be one.
Great. One.
Calling, circle prospecting some of the areas that I sold high priced homes and maybe marketing towards that area. Like I sold a lot in Rio Vista and Mawa, which is like everything's like 1.5 million and up. So I got another deal right there. Maybe I should start marketing that area more.
You said two things, right? You said expired and you said circle prospecting in the higher price point areas. Right?
I've never done that. So that's why it's a little uncomfortable for me, or I don't know how to approach those things.
So let's talk it through it, right? One of which is the circle prospecting in the higher price point areas. Number one, you could easily just download circle prospecting script from like Tom Ferry or mine, right? Obviously, I have a commercial prospecting script, which is a little bit more complicated, but Tom Ferry has a very good, which is something that I used for years. He has a residential circle prospecting script, which is fine. You could download that for free. It's a downloadable PDF. You can literally just say that script over and over again in those higher price point areas. And when you're calling for referrals, make sure you're calling the people that you sold the highest price point properties for. Instead of calling your $300,000 sales, call your $1.5 million sales and say, hey, I'm looking for, not obviously, hey, I'm looking for referrals, but you go through your referral script with them. Because if you're going to ask anybody for referrals, obviously it should be everybody. But the goal here is that like, if you want to start controlling your price point more, you should start focusing on getting referrals from your higher price point deals.
Yeah, I don't think I have referral scripts.
Every single one of your past clients, which you have dozens and dozens and dozens of past clients, right? That you could be calling those individuals and be asking for referrals, keeping in touch with them, right? Giving them referrals, right? Of professionals that they might need for their houses. But like in the residential world, like it's like a book. You're building a book. In the insurance world, you're building a book, right? The residential world, same exact thing. You're building a book of people that you can constantly going back to. Like this is like, hey, you sold John Smith's house. They bought a house. Now you're going to call them back and be like, hey, now John can be a referral source down the road, right? Now all John's friends should be using you. So it's like you need to be doubling down on your current book of business that you have built already. Like getting a client is hard enough. And it's like you might as well try to squeeze every client into one or two other deals, right? Squeeze the juice out of that. When you're prospecting every single day, you're going to want to be making sure that during those 3 hours, you can be circle prospecting the higher price point neighborhoods, which
do I just do 3 hours of that, or do I break it up?
I mean, look, I would probably do like maybe 3 days a week. You could do circle prospecting those higher price point neighborhoods. One day
straight 3 hours.
In those higher price point areas. Then one day a week you can prospect commercial, and then one day a week you can call your entire database all the time.
Yeah, I like that. Referral one day.
3 days resi, 1 day commercial. And it's a follow-up game, right? I mean, like 3 hours is going to be out. Like what you're going to do is like you literally those first 3 hours is all going to be cold prospecting for the most part for those circle prospecting days. And even for the referral days that you're calling.
I think referral days are great on Fridays.
Cool.
Right.
Because Fridays or Mondays, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And then Fridays or Mondays, and then circle prospect, maybe like whatever. Is there a better day for commercial or not really?
No, it's all the same. So the point is that you're going to do 3 hours minimum of cold prospecting or prospecting, quote unquote, every single day. And I'd even error on the first 90 days of this 4 hours because you got to build a pipeline, right? So like you're going to want to.
Yeah. So 90 days, you rather do first 90 days, 4 hours instead.
Yeah. And then see where you're at. And then based off of your pipeline and how fat or not fat your pipeline is, we would like to make some adjustments. Like if you're in a really good place with your pipeline, you might be able to cool it down to 3 and do more time on follow-up. Right now, you're going to do 4 hours of prospecting and then an hour a day minimum of follow-up. And then you're going to have 1 or 2 hours minimum blocked off later in the day, which is your appointment times, because you only go on appointments after 4:30.
1 hour a day for follow-up, you said?
1 hour a day for follow-up. Yep. The very next hour after all of your calling, right? You can do 15 to 30 minute break, right? You can do, anything from check your emails to text messages to
When do I eat lunch?
Yeah, well, I'm saying you can eat lunch while you're making your calls, dude. Like look, I mean, I have my office just like you have yours. I eat while I
Yeah,
dial,
no, that's true.
right?
1 hour
So,
a day follow up. Follow up means like getting back to certain people and
yes,
certain.
all the
Yeah.
leads that you've generated throughout your
Don't you,
prospecting.
doesn't has that something you had to overcome? Like, doesn't that bother you that you're not getting back to them until like hours later?
No, remember what happens is this: you have your 3 hours of prospecting. You're getting a lead. You speak to John. John says, "Yeah, I'm open to selling. Maybe maybe you should come by, evaluate my house, evaluate my property, whether it's commercial, residential, doesn't matter, right?" Point is, like, you're gonna have that conversation. He's open to selling. I mean, that's what the cold prospecting is. You're getting a maybe. It's not like you're gonna call somebody up and be like, "Samir, thank God you called me because I've been looking to sell my house. I need an agent," right? Like you're gonna get a maybe. That's what happens. You're open to selling. Cool. Next thing is to set an appointment. You go conduct the appointment, or they say, "Call me back in 3 weeks," right? Or call me back in 6 months.
So that's
And then,
my hour of follow up is calling those prospects
yes,
back.
yes.
But what about my clients, like certain people and calls and things that I
So
get?
that's what I'm trying to say. So okay, so right, 4 hours of cold prospecting from like eight. What time in the morning are you gonna start?
My goal is to start even earlier, obviously.
Well, I'm saying let's plan it every day, right?
Realistically, let's start at 9 for
Cool.
now, and then I'm gonna build myself up. And my goal is to get into the office earlier,
Sure.
like, but I don't want to like just jump into it. So I'll probably get there like
Let's get a
8-ish.
bulletproof. We're gonna get a bulletproof plan here, right? So 9 a.m. starts the dialing. Okay.
Yes.
You're gonna go till 1 o'clock for the next 90 days. Now, from 1 to 2 o'clock, you're gonna eat your lunch. You don't leave your office to go get lunch, or you get it
No,
delivered.
I do meal plans.
Yeah, cool. Like I get my food delivered every day, right? Like I don't want to think about it. It just comes to my house. So
Yeah.
1 to 2 o'clock, you get to eat, and you get to call all the people back who called you, right?
So don't answer any calls when I'm prospecting.
No,
Okay. So any calls that called me during that time,
you're
then
gonna
I
take
can
it one
call them
o'clock.
back.
You're gonna call them back at 1 o'clock. Because 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen is either they figured it out themselves, and if it's an absolute emergency, you're still getting back to them within probably 2 hours of them calling you, right?
Okay.
Maybe 3 hours of them calling, which is not a huge deal. It's fine. And don't get me wrong, red flags like, hey, something absolutely ridiculous happened. My intention is that before my dialing starts, all of my red flags are handled. So I have a meeting with myself every day. I mean, like I have several teams that I run.
That's my goal, is to do that like 7:30, 8
That's what I'm saying.
a.m.
So 8 to 9 a.m. I have all the team meetings. All the teams that I run between 8 and 9 a.m. I have all my team meetings and a meeting with myself. I already know what my red flags are personally. I have I have an 8:30 to 8:45 and an 8:45 to 9. So by 9 o'clock, I'm on the phones. I'm already checking all the red flags that I need to make sure that are handled. And I have 15 minutes to handle them, right? I'm running through everything. Like all I care about is red flags and things that have to happen today immediately, right? Like things that I didn't get to. I want to handle that right away. And I have up until like basically 9 at the absolute latest, 9:15 I give myself. Because 9:15 at the latest, I want to be on the phones.
Okay.
Right. And I'll rip for 3 hours. Today I was on the phone till around 12:15, 12:20 when I texted you. Right. That was my window. Now you have that 1 hour afterwards to get back to everybody. So like all the people who call me, by the way, like, most of the people are emailing or I think I had 3 missed calls during my prospecting session. I called back all 3 of those people. Everything's fine. Right. Okay. Not a big deal. As soon as you finish that, so you have 1 hour to get back to everybody. The faster you get it done, the better. You're going to spend the entire rest of that hour that you didn't need, plus extra, whatever an hour total is for your follow-up. So you basically can spend whatever X amount of time that's going to be, right? So that's going to take you, if you start at 1 o'clock, you're going to call everybody back from like 1 to 1:15, 1:30, however long it's going to take to clean that up. And then you're going to spend a total of a half an hour to an hour doing all of the lead follow-up you have that day. So I don't care whether you have 5 leads to call, 10 leads to call, 30 leads to call, you do that. Okay. Now you're at 1:30 to 2:30. You now have from 2:30 till your appointment time. Okay. You have an appointment time later in the day, because it's like, I don't go on appointments, because it obviously, like, you can play it by year. But what I would recommend is that you can go on all your listing appointments that you block off, or you have an hour. You can do that as either every day you have one appointment slot that you can book, or you have them like 3 days a week for 2 appointments, right? Like, so you can have up to like 6 appointments a week. Does that make sense? Because my goal is this.
No more buyers.
You can go on buyer appointments later in the day. That's fine. Right. Like, but like that appointment slot can either be a buyer or a listing. I mean, don't get me wrong, with my buyer clients, I'll pay somebody $50 to $75 to go show a house.
Yeah. What's happening from 2 p.m.?
Well, this is where the magic happens, right? So from 2:30, whenever you finish doing your work. Now Samir is good, right? Business, priority 1 is done, right? Okay. You did everything you needed to do, and your appointment, and let's just say your appointment is set for 6 o'clock tonight. Now you're from 2:30 to 5:30, whenever you need to leave, to focus on the other 2 pillars of your business, right? Okay. The businesses.
What about current deals and things like that?
Same thing through that 1 to 2 hours, or that 1 to 2. But you have 1 to 2.
Oh, 1 to 2 is also deal
Correct.
maintenance and things like
Correct.
that.
Yeah. Like you
What
all your
happens if I
current
need
clients, you're
more
passing. Yeah,
time? That's what I'm worried about.
that's
Then
fine.
just keep going.
Well,
Okay.
listen, think about it like this. How many listings do you have right now?
4, I
Cool.
think.
Great. So you have 4, and then I'm imagining a number of pending.
Yes.
Cool. So your TC, your transaction coordinator, which we're going to talk about team for in a moment here. Your transaction coordinator should be handling 80+% of the BS emails and calls and texts that should be coming through.
Well, that's what I need to understand how to do that. Are they in my email, personal email?
So I have them in and all of my deals are through an administrative email. All of my deals are in an administrative email. The deals don't come to me personally. I'm not
So
CC.
all offers are all attorney review. All deals should be through like
a transaction coordinator email.
admin at.
Yes, that's exactly what I have. I have an admin at account. All goes through there. I have access to that admin at account, and I check it all the time.
Okay, got it. So now
every deal goes through that email.
Start putting all my deals through that and let my TC follow up and do more things. I need to whip his ass into shape too.
Correct. So now here's the cool part. All those emails that you normally would be handling, they're handling.
So
at least 88 times out of 10.
Office
8 times out of 10. Yeah.
Is from 2 p.m. or 2:30 to 4:30.
You're doing that for you have 1 hour to handle all your immediate things. It is not because like handling like you have that same 1 hour where not only are you doing your callbacks, right? You're doing all deal handling activities for 1 hour, right? So that means by 2:30, Samir's done with his business.
Yes, and then and then the next part is what? The office and the team.
That's what I'm saying. So now it's team growth and office growth for 2 hours a day. At the latest 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock every day is just office growth, office and team growth. The only way to grow your office is by following these recruitment strategies, which is either crazy outbound, right? You have somebody dialing the phone, pounding the phone, calling people up and trying to call people up and bring them in for an interview, see if they would possibly consider joining the office. 2, social media, posting on social media a lot, but not just posting on social media saying, hey, we're recruiting agents, but like putting out amazing content, training, like a lot of content like I do out on social media, right? That's going to be an attraction magnet. And
I need help with that too, like how you do all that, because I don't know how you manage it, record, and do the videos. If you have people or suggestions, like I would love to learn. So I can just
one day a week during those 2 hours, 1 day a week for 2 hours a day.
Just recording.
You just record, and that's 7 days of content.
I don't know how you I need to know how you hired somebody to do all that stuff or whatever. So
I can walk you through all of it. That's fine. We're gonna get super dialed in here. Okay.
So 1 hour a week, okay, for social.
But yeah, between 1 and 2 hours a week. I would choose 1 day where you're doing 2 hours straight of social media recording content. We'll figure it out. It could be a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday. It doesn't matter. One of those 2 hour, because now you have a bunch of 2 hour blocks in the middle, right? That's what you have, the 2:30 to 4:30 window, and that might actually go longer. You might have. Like if you don't have an appointment today, now all of a sudden it's a 6 hour block because you're going to be working till 8 o'clock at night to achieve these goals here, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I want you to understand like weekends are important. Go hang out with your family. If you want to take a day where like 2 days a week, 3 days a week, you want to work till 6, work till 6, but working till, if you want to have these 3 great businesses that are taking off, you're going to work till at least 6 o'clock a couple days a week.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If not 8.
I don't plan on going. I don't go home at that time.
Yeah. So I'm just saying like you might be working 8 to 8. For quite some time here.
I hope so.
Yeah. Cool. So I want to make sure we're on the same page.
I'm not afraid of that. I mean, I do that. I go home like even later sometimes, but I need to have a better balance. What I'd rather do is, and I'm prepared for this. So my goal, my ideal is probably 8 to 8 and then go home. And then hopefully through all of this shit that I'm going to be doing, I need to take Sunday off, off because
I was going to say we take either both.
I need to recoup before I go back to the office. And that's
if you knock it out of the park in a week, like if you do everything, like you're dialed in, you knock it out of the park, you got 3 deals under contract, take both days off, right? Like
I need to be like left alone because it's a shit.
I fully understand where you're coming from.
So is that the 2:30 to 4:30, like dealing with the team, answering questions and with the team? I mean, most of my team is good because they go to the squad leaders, which is going to help me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So hold on. So remember, every day you're going to have a 2 to 4 hour window because if you don't have an appointment, now you have more time and you're not going to go on an appointment every single day.
And so my appointments are at 6 or what?
Something in that vicinity. I'll let you decide. Like, you can have 2, I would say somewhere between 2 and 3 days a week. You can have 1 or 2 appointment times. So you can have a total of 6 appointment times during the week.
4, 6, so like 2 to 3 days a week. Okay, 3 days a week or so for appointments.
Yeah, and
okay.
you're going to put blocked windows, right? Like, an hour block windows and all these different appointment times that you can book. You're not going to go every day. You're not going to succumb to the availability of your client every single day.
And when to do appointments, I go on them. What time? 5?
Most of the time, I'd say it like this: the days that you don't have appointments, because that's giving you more time to work on the business, where the appointments are going to be making you money today. So I'd want to say, like, you can call it Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. You have 2 appointment times. So you have like a 5:30 slot and a 7 o'clock slot or something like that. Right.
So it starts at 5, basically.
Something like that. Yeah. 4:35. Right. Because like the problem is that like you can't leave at 4:30 for a 4:30 appointment. So it skews especially if it's an hour away. You know what I'm saying? So I'd recommend, because I want you to give you at least 2 hours a day to work.
7 p.m. Okay.
Something like that, right? You could do a 4:30 and a 7, right? Or depending on if they're next to each other, you could squeeze that time frame and you have more, right? You can push it back a little bit. Like, you got to be a little bit flexible with those appointments, because now it's like, okay, during those 2-hour windows, you're going to have 30 minutes I would say 30 minutes twice a week for team meetings. Every Wednesday, let's say.
Twice a week. So I do my team meetings on Mondays at 9 o'clock to 10.
So what you're going to do is that from now on, it's not 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. anymore, because that's your prospecting window, unless you're going to move back your prospecting window. Because number one, doing like, you can do 1 weekly meeting for an hour. I love that idea, right? I love that idea, but you're going to start at 8:30 instead of 9, right? So now you're giving you more time to prospect.
I got to convince everybody. Well,
if they're not open to it, they're not the right fit. It's just like they work around your schedule, right? Like, this is what the team meetings are. Or you don't do the team meeting. Someone else can do the team meeting.
Yeah, doing it earlier might be better anyways, avoid traffic and stuff for us. So
100%. I agree with you. Your team meeting, okay, just be aware of this, is different than an office meeting. An office meeting, which, by the way, that's for like all the random people who maybe do business, maybe don't do business. Well, can be at a different time, because you don't have to like both of those things are important. So like
my broker is going to handle that. She's going to do most of that.
Perfect. Great. So you don't even need to be there. That's not your business, right? That's fine. So that's why I'm trying to say, like, that will be set aside. So your personal team meeting can be from Monday morning, 8:30 to, like, I do 15-minute meetings. I have an 8:30 to 8:45 and 8:45 to 9. So because you don't need an hour. Most of the time, you just don't need it, especially if
yeah, I know. I talk a lot. I give them advice, lecture them. I want to know what
they don't want that. You don't want that.
It's because my team's too big. That's why. So,
dude, you got to, again, I have 30 plus people who come on my team meetings every morning. I don't need to do that. Like, I have in the morning, I need red flags. That's the biggest thing. Red flags and goals set for everyone. So
I want everyone to start prospecting with me in the office is what I want.
Cool. I'll have office hours. Go on Google Meet or Zoom just like this.
Like, if I'm in the office prospecting 9 to 12, they all should be doing that. I don't understand why not.
Listen, if they're on your team, then you can demand it, right? Like my average agent makes 400 dials a day on my teams, right? So it's like, and they do that every single day from 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock or 1:30, because I have a 1:30 call at the end of the day. Right. Which I have to jump on in 15 minutes, but I'm saying I do my recap meetings, which is another 15 minutes. So, and during that 15 minutes, we run through a bunch of deals, their hottest new deals. And we go through, again, all the commercial stuff. So I have to underwrite these deals and kind of see what I want to pick and choose my time on.
So move my team meetings. Okay. Got it.
You don't need an hour, dude.
Oh yeah. It's going to be, 8:30. I'll say 8:30.
8:30 to 9. You could start. And honestly, I would try to say 15 minutes.
What deals do you have? What's going on? New listings, things like that.
Red flags, which is like what needs to be handled in the next 30 minutes or else, or there's going to be a problem. I need your immediate red flags is number one. Number two, you're going to dive into, new listings and everybody's goals, right? Because you have to understand, you can go through all the new listings and all that kind of stuff. People need to come prepared. I don't have an hour to go through this with everybody. You come prepared with everything, or don't show up on the meeting.
Well, I have also, and then I also have my list of all the deals and what's going on, which is also.
But guess what? Your TC should do that.
So that's easy.
My meetings are
documented. All I do is just log in and look at it. That's what I meant.
I understand. So what I'm saying is, like, my team meeting, when it comes to like recapping everything, it goes like this. I walk on, we do immediate red flags, all brand new deals that like I need to know about which is 5 to 8 minutes, maybe 10. The entire rest of the meeting goes for 20 minutes and I get off the meeting because I'm not required anymore. My TC handles the rest of it.
Okay.
And if there's anything that's remaining that comes up later that is like, hey, like Henry needs to know about this, my TC lets me know.
Okay. All right.
If I'm number one producer, every minute on this team meeting that is not 100%, it's waste. Exactly.
I get it. Get it.
Especially because like my TC can handle everything else. Like it's all questions for them. They should be handling it. Let them chat about it. That's fine. And then by 9 o'clock, like this way I can go back to doing what I do best. So during that 2-hour window, let's get really specific about this. Okay. Like we talked about one of those days for 2 hours, you're going to do content. The other times you should be setting up meetings during those 2-hour windows, right? Maybe you set up 30 minutes every day where your guy can book a meeting or two with somebody who wants to come into your office. You should be doing agent interviews.
Oh, yeah. I'm not doing them.
So your broker's doing them.
My recruiter, my guy's going to do them. He's going to.
Awesome. And then the only last thing I'm going to say is this, right? That those 2 hours every single day is you have the ability to work on your team and grow the team, train the team, work on anything you need to do that's team building exercises
return their calls and their stupid questions.
Yeah. But also like, dude, you have 30, I'm going to be clear with you. All their questions, you get to set aside time where they get to have those conversations with you. They have 2 30-minute sessions a week. You have office hours like this where like, you know, they can come to you and ask questions, but like, it's like a Google thing, like just like this, right? What I do is every day I have my team meetings in the morning and then I have a 1:30 call and a 4:30 call. They're both 15 minutes. So I have 30 minutes a day where if they have a question, they can ask it. Or they can text me and I can get back to them whenever. But like they have 2 30-minute time frames. If they have a question, they have to be on that meeting. It's like I control my time. They don't get to control my time. And if they don't come on, it goes to tomorrow.
Or they can speak to their squad leader. Who can 100%.
Help. That's right. Exactly.
That's why I have them. And then let the squad leaders talk to me. They get it already. The squad leaders say, why are you bothering Samir? Come to me. If I can't answer it, I will talk to him when he's available and get back to you.
That's my point. So you get to be more specific with that, more dialed in on that.
And I got to explain that to my team members. That's how it's going to be.
And guess what? So like, and then during those 2 hours, you're also going to be able to take maybe 2 30-minute sessions a week or 15 minutes. I would even say 2 15-minute sessions a week where you're going to be working with your TC a little bit more every day. Your recruiter a little bit, like you're going to have 2 15-minute meetings a week with your recruiter, 2 15-minute, or you can do it every day. A 15-minute meeting every single day with your recruiter, a 15-minute meeting every single day with your TC. Let's review all the deals. Let's review every single person. It's like, what support do you need? What guidance do you need? Let's set a new goal. Do you have everything you need to succeed? It's not like, let's take an hour to review all the leads and everything. That's their job.
So what time should I do that during like the 1:30 time or no?
No. This is the 2-hour block every day where you have the ability to grow your office.
Oh, the office and team growth. Yeah. 15 minutes. Got it.
You have 15 minutes. Every day. It could be the same time every day, 3 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday. You have that time where you can meet with your TC for 15 and then meet with your recruiter.
Should I put that in the calendar or should I just
standing meeting? Yes.
What?
It's a standing meeting at 3 o'clock every day. Yes. Okay. In the calendar. Everything's in your calendar, dude. Everything is in my calendar. There's not a certain thing that isn't in my calendar.
Calendar. 3 p.m.
My team meetings are in the calendar. Those 15-minute meetings are in the calendar. My prospecting time's in the calendar. My follow-up time is in my calendar. Every appointment that's ever booked is in my calendar. The only other thing that you're going to have here is essentially you could be doubling down on any piece that really needs your attention, right? So like you're going to have 2-hour blocks where like you might not need the full 2 hours to for growing your office today, right? Or growing your team today, right? Or working on the team today, because let's just say everything's working really well. You might have now an extra hour where you get to drive it back into your business. Because until you're netting $1 million a year in your own personal production, that is still always and forever going to be your priority.
You can now, I know you were just doing this as like the kickoff call, but in the future, like I need to learn, like at what point do I bring in like an assistant or somebody that's going to be able to take off a workload and I can drive more business.
Think about your TC, which you might have a team TC or
you don't have an office in the Philippines. He's in the Philippines. He's a VA.
So I would probably say that in the next 6 to 12 months, there's going to come a point where we're going to have a conversation about hiring your next person.
In person.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now they can be virtual in person, like they live near you, but they don't need to be in the office per se. But that person, like you're going to have somebody that you're going to be paying. Like I want you to know one great in-person TC, okay, that you pay somewhere between 40 and change to 60. Okay. That person can take you to net $1 million a year.
I know, but I don't know what that person needs to be doing. That's my big problem.
100% of administrative tasks. All listing input, 100% of listing input, 100% of transaction management, email management, 100% of email
booking
management.
Inspections, everything.
And see, yeah, and lastly, like that's part of like, that's the contract to close piece. Yes, and they're doing handling all COs.
Certificate of occupancies, all that stuff. But if they're VAs, then how can I do that? Or they just schedule it.
They
whatever.
schedule it, and then they have that agent go. I don't even know the last time I showed a single family house. I pay people $25 an hour, $25 an hour to go show a house or to go to an inspection for me or to go to a CO inspection for me. But I don't do that, and neither does my TC. My TC
And your clients aren't worried that they don't need you instead. That's
they don't need you. They don't need you.
You get the report, you get all that.
Nobody needs you. Nobody needs you. You know what they need you for? Negotiating the best freaking deal possible. I tell, like, if they really start pushing back, I'm like, I understand them. I was taught this a long time ago. It's the doctor-nurse situation. Does the doctor or the surgeon come in and ask you a bunch of questions and write on a clipboard and, take your intake forms? Do they do that?
No.
They walk in for 30 seconds to 5 minutes.
They review
all the information, get the job done, and then they leave, and then the nurse comes back.
You're right. Okay. Got it.
Right? I'm the doctor.
Do you have any of do you have it written out, the admin task and responsibility?
We can write that out. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I could write that out with you. That's fine. Number one, they're doing all email management. Number two, they do all transaction management, which is contract to close. They do everything from the start of attorney review. They can even put the deals in, like they're putting deals in attorney review, right? All the way to the closing table. And then they update all of your systems, right? Like they not only are listing management is also going to be the next thing where they're inputting your listings, but they're going to input the listing. They're going to then once they have an accepted offer, they're going to then send it for signatures. Like you do nothing that is administrative task wise other than advise them on the next step. If they even need you to do it. Right? You're giving them like basically, yeah, can you just send that out for signatures? They'll send it out for signatures. They're going to get into attorney review. When all the inspections that are coordinated, they're going to coordinate the times and they're going to have somebody show up. And if you have to pay somebody like a runner $25 an hour to go at that inspection, it's the best thing in the world because you don't, again, you doesn't get bothered. The TC doesn't go. They stay. They're just the coordinator. Right, they're the quarterback, right? Again, they handle all COs for the exact same thing. And lastly, like I was saying, they also manage all the software, right? So if they have to update things to get you paid, they're going to update all that. Like they submit your commission bills, they update your Google Doc sheets. They update everything where that's already handled. You don't have to do any of that nonsense. Like they get paid. I like to do a lower salary and a higher TC fee, which is like a per transaction fee. I want to have the lowest possible that they will agree to salary, $2,500 to $3,000 rough salary, plus a $400 or a $300 or $700, depending on the size of your deal, transaction fee. So on the deal, on the months where you don't have a lot of closings, it doesn't kill you versus the months that you have a lot of closings, you're happy to pay the extra fee, right? And then they're incentivized to get the deal closed.
What do you say? 2,500 to what?
To 3,000.
A week?
Jesus,
a month?
A month. Whew.
Okay. I was going to say 2,500 to 3,000.
I mean, listen, and if you're doing 100 sales a year, then that's when you start getting somebody who's like, you have one person at 60,000 a year plus, maybe 250. Yeah. Plus bonuses.
They got to be a rock star. They got to know what they're doing.
Yeah. Like, listen, if they're a fantastic person, you keep them and you pay them more. But at the very beginning, I definitely would start with a lower salary and a higher TC fee.
Of course.
And
I need to go in person, my next person, not from the Philippines.
100% you do. Absolutely. And listen, the person from the Philippines is a fantastic person that you can do all of their support. Hey, this is your assistant. This person handles all of the XYZ emails and all the updating of files. If they have to input a listing, it's like the cheapest thing you could pay for. You pay them like what? $400.
They oversee all the work, make sure it's happening the right way, basically. Okay.
Well, not only do they oversee it, but there's a lot of hands-on more activity that they have to do. Well, listen, man, we're at a 129. I have to jump on a 130. Any other last minute questions before we rock?
No, that's all. Just I hope I can get some more time with you in the future so we can.
Of course, dude. Listen, come with all your questions on the trainings. I'm more than I stay late, so like
I can ask stuff like this too.
100%, dude. As personal as you need.
Thank you for everything, Henry. And I'll start the videos, whatever, and then we'll stay in touch, obviously. And
I would even recommend that, by the way, your schedule that we just talked about starts tomorrow. I would even say starts today.
I know, but I'm leaving for London.
Listen, I want you to know, I'll jump off in a second. I went to France for 3 weeks. I still followed my schedule. And the cool part about London is that it's very pushed back. So my day didn't start till 3:00, but I did 3 hours of prospecting every day. Right. And then because no one goes to dinner until 8:00 at night in London, so
that's true.
So anyways, man, looking forward to continue working together. Enjoy the holidays and we'll talk soon.